Thank you. It is 8 o'clock, WATS Sayre, WAVR FM Waverly. This is Choice 102. Our big story this morning is that the voice of the Valley, the man we all know as the voice of the Valley, Chuck Carver, who owned and operated and worked at this radio station and had many different capacities here for over 44 years, unexpectedly passed away last night near his home in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. He had not been feeling well. He went to an emergency room, suffered what we believe was a possible heart attack, and despite the best efforts of the emergency room, there was not a positive outcome, and we lost our good friend last night. My name is Dave, and if you've listened to the radio station lately, you may have heard my voice, and if you haven't listened to the radio station in a long time, you may have missed a few things. One, that Chuck retired about 7 months ago, and two, that he turned the radio station over to me and my wife, Irene, who is here in the studio with me this morning as we have taken over the morning show, which is normally hosted by Matt, who is also here with us in the morning show in the studio. And Sherry Iyer is here, who's been the station manager of WATS and WAVR for, well, I don't know how long you've been a station manager, but I know you've been here since your 4th birthday as an employee of the radio station. And joining us in the studio are some partners of ours and friends of ours from the Williams Auto Group who have had a very, very long relationship with this station, and especially with Chuck Carver. Tony, why don't we, Matt, if you wouldn't mind giving up a mic, and that way each of the three of you have one. In the studio with us this morning from the Williams Auto Group. Ladies first, good morning, Emily Osbourn.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us and being here.
Of course.
Our good friends, Tony Robbins.
Good morning.
And as Chuck would say, Jimmy Lister.
Good morning, Dave.
Morning. Thank you guys for being here. He really loved you guys. He spoke really highly of you guys, an awful lot. And he would want me to point out that he bought more cars from Jim than he did Tony.
Yes, he would say that, for
sure. There's a reason for that, Dave.
How did... Well, I don't... it's hard to know where to begin. You all have had such a long relationship here in the Valley, and I apologize, Emily. I know Tony and Jim's story a little bit better than I know yours because I spend more time with these guys. But I know that both Tony and Jim grew up here and have spent a lot of time here and played a lot of sports here, coached a lot of sports here. And
yeah, I mean, for me, hearing the news was, really tough. I kind of shared with Sherry outside that I was involved in sports from 4th grade in Sayre right up through college in Mansfield, playing football over there. And I remember Chuck and the team here at Choice calling our football games, wrestling matches, and just stuff like that, always making sure to name out the players. So, we got recognition on the radio because, it's just... I don't know. It's kind of tough. I'm at a little bit of a loss for words just saying that, Chuck meant more to this community than just sports, than just his involvement. He truly is the reason why a lot of us are where we're at today. I told Sherry outside that I believe he's, one of the reasons why I went to play football, one of the reasons why I became a general manager, one of the reasons why I'm such a Valley community supporter myself. Nothing in even a speck of what he's done, but I only can say that I hope that I can be half of the person in the community that he was. So
he was certainly a giant in the Valley and a leader in community service and an example in how to be a good community citizen and an example of what you could be if you worked hard and committed yourself to your loved ones around you and the community and moving things forward, making the world a better place. Scholarship Challenge, Christmas is for Kids, thousands of interviews. I mean, thousands of interviews.
Yeah, just being a good person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so many people, if they could just be a better person and a little bit like that, boy, the world would be a better place. So Chuck definitely made this valley, this community, just a all-around better place.
When you met Chuck, you didn't really know what you were getting yourself into.
It was usually comedy off the get-go.
Yeah.
Or a couple digs and
yeah. Usually a couple of digs, couple burns, and you're like, I'm not sure if I like that guy. And then you realize you didn't like the guy, you love the guy.
Absolutely.
Jim, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up. I keep looking down that hallway, waiting for him to come out of his office here and say, Jimmy Lister, and give me a hard time about something.
Anything.
It's a tough day here for the Valley. We lost a good one last night.
We've had a few tough days lately.
Yeah, we really have. There's so many things I could talk about with Chuck Carver over the years. It's unbelievable. I use the word today, community. I mean, obviously that's the first thing you think of when you think about Chuck Carver. I said it this morning on a post I put, Chuck Carver taught us the word community. I can honestly say that.
Yeah.
He was just a tremendous person. He was always thinking of ways to help out this community, to do different things, to generate different income or monies or something to make this thing better. What I would do one more time for look down at my telephone and see Chuck Carver's name come up on it, and I'd answer it, and he'd say, Chuck Carver here, Jimmy Lister. I got another idea. I need to come see you. Come on over, Chuck. I'd love to sit down with you one more time and come up with something good that we can do to help out this community. He's just done some great things over the years. I mean, just off the cuff. I mean, Christmas is for Kids is just phenomenal every year. We love being a part of it. Scholarship Challenge, just, what he did for the kids in the community in this area is it'll be a tough shoes to fill for anyone to even come close to what he's done around here.
There were 24 teams in Scholarship Challenge with at least 4 kids apiece. So easy math, right?
Yep.
You guys were. Luckily, we brought the car guys in who are really good with their calculators. That's 100 kids on average over 41 years.
It's unbelievable.
That's 4,100 kids who have participated more or less in Scholarship Challenge. And I shouldn't even say kids because it's been 41 years.
Yeah.
A lot of them are grown up and have kids of their own, and their kids have participated in Scholarship Challenge. And, you like you said, Tony, like, I'm sure Chuck didn't know that he had any part in you going on to play football.
No, and this is funny. We were talking about some different stuff outside of sports and outside of the community, just about him being a community leader for some young kids who were trying to make our way in the Valley with not a lot to do. He made sure we were on the straight and narrow. He actually lived right across from the football stadium, Lockhart Street Bowl, which is where a lot of us grew up. And if any of us got a little bit out of line, he kind of knew. It's like my grandpa always said there was birdies out there. I didn't realize the birdie was Chuck Carver.
Emily, you've known Chuck for a pretty long time.
I have. Going to Sarah myself, I've known Chuck since high school. He was always involved with fundraising or attending sporting events, and then obviously working with Williams. I've worked with Chuck for the past 11 years on Christmas is for Kids, and he's just a phenomenal human being, probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met.
Absolutely. You guys give big to Christmas is for Kids every year. All of a sudden, I mean, there was 85 feet of snow on the ground this year, so it was hard to see. But all of a sudden, what traffic could pass stopped. And I looked from one end of the street to the other end of the street, and you guys basically had it shut down with trucks and vans just full. Like, we talk about how Christmases for kids raised about $60,000 a year the last handful of years. I mean, it started, and Todd Bowers is in the studio, and we'll have him join us here in a couple minutes to maybe give us a little bit more of the history of the event. But we talk about how much, right? We always measure everything in dollars, right? How much people give in donations. And I know that you guys donate monetarily to Christmases for Kids, but we don't ever even really count the toys that are collected because you can't. I mean, you'd need an entire row of cash registers and cashiers to check those toys all out again. Car after car after van after truck after truck after truck after van full of toys and bicycles. I've never seen so many bicycles in one place. Like, you buy out the store, you come back a month later and buy out the store again. Like, you guys are probably the reason why nobody can buy a child's bicycle within 15 miles of the valley. And nobody needs to either, because if you hang around long enough, you'll get one from Christmases for Kids because the Williams Auto Group donated it. And we all know that look on Chuck's face. And I got it for the first time in December when I stood there freezing everything I had off. And it was an aha moment where you're like, I get it. I get it. And you guys made me teary-eyed on our first Christmases for Kids broadcast because of that generosity. And it's almost a miracle that Chuck lived as long as he did, given the amount of times that you guys took his breath away with that kind of generosity and lining the streets. I mean, you know, anybody who ever watched WKRP in Cincinnati and knows the famous turkey drop promotion, you know how proud a radio station guy gets when he knows that he has just participated in doing something that has caused complete and total gridlock in your community in a several block radius around the hospital and everything else. I mean, just the smile on your face and the pride of turning on the microphone and saying, hey, we're giving to kids today. And then having people show up and then
shut it down. Just completely shut it down. And that's a great example there of him touching people's lives that he didn't even know that he did. I mean, he's the reason why kids had bicycles. Think about that. You have no bicycle, and pretty soon you do. And why is that? Because of Chuck Carver. So,
you know, you open the microphone and you never know what's going to happen. You open it's going to be something good, and if one good thing happens, your day is made. And he's never going to even know. I mean, you look at how many pieces of glass there are in this studio that say New York State Broadcasters Association Award or Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters Award and all the other plaques, and that you have to walk through the entire radio station to see them all, and you probably won't. He knows what good he did by seeing those. That's like just scratching the surface of how much that he was able to accomplish in a 44-year career in the same place at the same station with the same, as he still called it, Rolodex.
Yeah.
I have that now.
Yeah. he still kept a Rolodex. And I have an email that I came across last night from him that said, updated the Rolodex for you. And that was back in November and he wanted to make sure that we had every name and phone number that he had ever come across so that we would have all the same keys and tools to success that he had worked so hard to gain over the last 44 years. He compiled everything. He took notes on everything, or he made Sherry take notes on everything. But I mean, he didn't just set us up, Irene. He set the valley up for the future.
Right. He's all about community. He's all about local. What he does for local business is, he just was a terrific guy. You know, you talk about Christmases for kids. We wanted to do that for Chuck Carver because we knew his expectations were so high. To you know, he wanted this to be so successful for kids, and how would you not want to be a part of that? And you know, we block it every year, and we will continue to do that. It is you know, it's a staple of Chuck Carver.
Jim Lister, Tony Robbins, Emily Osbourn are from the Williams Auto Group, who has had a long-standing relationship, both the dealership, but the Williams family, with Chuck and Choice 102. We appreciate you guys coming in this morning, and of course all your support over the years. And we just thank you guys for taking the time and being patient and jumping on with us this morning. And is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
I can add that comment. We had a little text chain going this morning between us, and Dalton Williams was on the text chain. And I invited everybody to come down after talking to Irene. And unfortunately, he had a meeting. He couldn't make it today, but he called his parents last night to tell him. And as you know, our leader, our owner of our business, Randy Williams, is also big in the community. And he just said, this is what Dalton said about his dad. He said, my dad's comment that Chuck was always such a believer and supporter of local business. He understood it and was always there to support any initiative that we as a company would take in our long history in the Valley. You know, that's going from one community leader to another. That's a pretty big statement. So I figured I would share that. So
you know, I think Chuck's business here is a pretty big business. And when you compare it to the Williams business,
Right.
I mean, it's almost like a hot dog stand, you know what I mean? And Chuck did love hot dogs. So for an endorsement like that from one of the most successful businessmen in the area, I think is a wonderful testament to what you can do with a microphone and some community spirit.
absolutely.
Going to continue that.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming in this morning. I appreciate it. Emily Osbourn,
Thank
Tony
you.
Robbins, Jim Lister, Williams Auto Group. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I owe you both videos. They're going to be a little late. then again, they always are. So
It's okay.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.